spring of 1940, and Europe is stood on the brink of war. The German war machine, fueled by blitzkrieg tactics, has already swept through Poland and the Low Countries with lightning speed. Now, their sights were set on France, and as the German blitzkrieg thundered across the continent, the French and British armies scrambled to hold the line. Their resolve tested against the relentless advance of the enemy. Among those standing in the path of German onslaught were the brave men of the French army. And now the French had decided that the best course of action was to hold the line, or dig in, so to speak, expecting a carbon copy of the First World War to unplay. But this time, they would be ready. But over the large front line area that the Allies had to cover, the Ardennes forest was considered a natural barrier by the Allied High Command. Its dense terrain and unpredictable weather made it seem unlikely that the Germans would even attempt a small-scale offensive through this region.
A hilly and thickly wooded area, honeycombed with streams, its roads narrow trails, its bridges too weak for military vehicles. French strategists estimated the forest of the Ardennes impassable for armored forces. As you will see, this was one of the costliest estimates in all military history.
Additionally, the Allies were stretched thin along this western front, with resources and manpower focused on other key areas of the battlefield. It's 6:30 AM on the French side of the Ardennes forest, and the crisp morning air is still cold enough to see your breath. Private Jules, who has just been stationed here, is on first watch for the morning. As his comrades begin to wake and stir from another cold night's sleep, gearing up for what looks to be just another uneventful day. Because for weeks, the quiet tranquility of these woods has been shattered by the distant rumble of war hundreds of miles away in the distance. But today, that distant rumble draws ever closer. At first, it sounded like thunder on the horizon, but as the sound grew closer, Jules realised that it was something far more sinister. But his first thoughts are disbelief. He was told that this post would be the vacation post, because there'd be no way that anyone would attempt to get through it. But as the rumbling sounds get closer and closer, he has to turn to alert his comrades that the noise is getting louder, but they just laugh it off and tell him it's nothing. As the minutes go by, there is now no mistaking it. There are noises of trees falling and the indistinguishable sound of tank tracks in the distance. Just try to imagine what's going through these boys' heads. They've not been equipped for any anti-tank warfare. They're not expecting any war at all to come near them within 100 miles. But within an instant, the German panzer tanks burst through the misty tree line and directly towards them. The scene erupted into a hellish inferno of explosions and gunfire. But within seconds, the French detachment had seen the writing on the wall and began to fall back deeper and deeper into the thick forest. The dense forest seemed to have no effect on the Germans as they ploughed through the forest with ease and unrelenting pace. Now, despite their valiant efforts, the French army was overwhelmed by the German onslaught. The Ardennes had been breached, and the path to victory lay in tatters beneath the treads of German tanks. On May the 10th of 1940, as the world stood on the brink of war, a lightning-fast military strategy known as the blitzkrieg stunned the world. But why did German forces choose the Ardennes forest as a key element of their plan? Now, to understand the significance of the Ardennes, we need to first grasp the principles of the blitzkrieg. Now, the blitzkrieg or lightning war relied on speed, surprise, and overwhelming force to quickly overwhelm the enemy. And as German forces advanced through Belgium and into France, they faced heavily fortified positions along the Maginot Line and the French-Belgian border. But instead of attacking head-on, they chose a different path. Because, who would want to go head-on in a defensive line that's had millions spent on it and has been getting built for decades and is specifically designed for head-on assaults? Can't blame the Germans for trying to find a different route. Now, that's not to say that that wasn't their original plan anyway, but the German military planners recognised the Ardennes forest as a potential weak point in the Allied defences. This dense terrain was considered impassable for large-scale military operations, leading the Allies to believe it was an unlikely avenue of attack. And so, exploiting this misconception, the Germans launched a daring assault through the Ardennes, catching the Allies off guard and bypassing their fortified positions. The swift advance of German armoured divisions through the Ardennes created a gap in the Allied lines, allowing them to encircle and trap a significant portion of the Allied forces in Belgium. And then, the Allies were forced into a desperate retreat, Unable to contain the German onslaught, the Ardennes had become the linchpin of the Blitzkrieg, a stroke of tactical brilliance that would alter the course of history. But back to the main question. How did the Germans manage to push an armoured division through such a dense forest? I mean, many questioned the feasibility of such a plan. The Ardennes was known for its rugged terrain, thick forests, and narrow roads. Some believed it was impassable for large mechanised units, like tanks, and so it presented a significant challenge for armoured warfare. The dense foliage limited visibility and mobility, while the narrow roads made it difficult to manoeuvre large vehicles. But to overcome this obstacle and create paths for their tanks and troops, the German forces often resorted to cutting down trees. Now, this process, known as schneiden, involved using chainsaws and explosives to clear a path through the forest. While this allowed the German forces to make progress, this progress was time-consuming and labour-intensive, slowing down their advance. But, undeterred, the German army meticulously planned their route, clearing paths through the forest and preparing for the arduous journey ahead. And so the swift advance of German armoured divisions through the Ardennes created a gap in the Allied lines, allowing them to encircle and trap a significant portion of the Allied forces in Belgium, causing the retreat of Dunkirk that we all know. Now, the speed of the German advance was staggering. Just to give a frame of reference here, in just over a week, they covered nearly 200 miles, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The French and British forces scrambled to mount a defence, but they were no match for the lightning-fast German war machine, as they had cut off communications and cut off supply lines. And by May 20th, the German vanguard had reached the outskirts of Paris, thinking they had just started 10 days ago. Which is pretty impressive considering World War I, the front lines over 3 years only moved maybe give or take a couple of miles. And on June 14th, just 4 weeks after their initial advance through the Ardennes, the German army marched triumphantly into Paris. The City of Lights fell under Nazi control, signalling the beginning of a dark chapter in its history. This fall of Paris sent shockwaves across the world, a stark reminder of the devastating power of Blitzkrieg warfare. For the Germans, it was a moment of triumph. For the Allies, it was a wake-up call to the challenges that lay ahead. And that just about covers it for today. If you have any ideas or thoughts of a topic that you would want to be covered next, please put them down in the comment section below, and it could be your idea in the next video. And I'll see you next time.
I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted.
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds.
We choose to go to the moon, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.